Hi everyone and welcome back to Adam's Fishing. This isn't exactly what I've come all the way to Wiltshire for, but I'm doing something that I've never done before and having a little carp fishing holiday for the weekend at a lovely venue in Wiltshire with a smashing small lake that I'm fishing on now. The fish in here apparently go up to 25 pounds, so they get a lot bigger than this one, but this is the first one I've caught. Let me slip this one back and then I'll tell you all about where I am and what I'm doing. Lovely little carp. Okay guys, well it's actually been a while since I put that fish back. I'm at Rendells Farm Holiday Park and Fishery in Devizes in Wiltshire. This was a birthday present from my mum, a whole weekend here, and I was able to bring a guest. Now I invited my old fishing mate James to come with me, and he has, and we're set up and we are fishing. And I've caught my first fish, and so has James. He caught a fish a little bit earlier on. One much bigger than the one I caught actually, still not a massive carp, probably about 8 pounds we think. We haven't weighed them, but as I say, they apparently go up to 25 pounds in this lake. Lake's about an acre in size, and it's a really lovely spot actually. Really quiet, it's exclusive, it's only for the few little holiday lodges that they have here to fish, and James and I have had pretty much the whole place, the whole lake to ourselves since we arrived about 2 o'clock this afternoon. The fishing has been tricky, not so much tricky, just a bit slow really. There hasn't been a lot going on. There haven't really been many fish showing themselves, and it's all just been a little bit quiet. But yeah, James had one fairly early on in the session, and then I had that little scrappy common carp a little while ago. But it's brilliant that we're both off the mark and we've both actually caught one. So whatever happens, the weekend is not going to be a total blank. And for once, I've got a whole weekend of fishing. How rare is that? In fact, I don't think I've ever had that before. So yeah, so it's the Friday afternoon and evening and night, and then we've got the Saturday and Sunday, and we have to be off and gone by 10 o'clock on Monday, but we're going to make the most of every single minute. Now it's fishing from dawn till dusk only, which means there was no need to bring the overnight gear, because we've actually got a cottage, one of the holiday cottages up there, 2-bedroom place, really nice, got its own little kitchen and living room and everything. So yeah, we're going to be going back there fairly soon, because it's now 9 p.m. It's a little bit frustrating because the fish are starting to get a little bit more active. We're starting to see signs of that now. But actually it's going to be dark fairly soon, and that means the rules say we have to be off the lake and back to the cottage. But yeah, that's my little introduction for this place. Let me just pick up the tripod for a second, just see if I can show you what's going on and where I'm fishing. You can see my 2 rods there. I'm fishing pretty much out just straight in front of me into roughly the middle of this part of the lake. That's a little bit of a change actually, because I was fishing right across to the far bank and one off to my left hand side. But actually, having seen a fish or 2 show in the middle, which is the only signs of activity that I'd seen, I changed things up, put both rods in the middle, and that luckily got me that all important bite. So I'm off the mark, I'm up and running. Really hope I can put a much bigger one on the mat at some point. But you can see the rest of the lake behind me. There's a nice island here, and there's a gorilla statue on the island, which is quite cool. A little bridge there going across the island, but you can't actually fish on the island. Yeah, I'll take you around for a proper tour tomorrow morning when the lighting's a little bit better, and show you the place properly. But one of the really cool things about this particular setup is, let me just turn the camera around. Oh guys, I can't work out my camera, but anyway, right behind me is the motor, so you're actually able to drive your gear right down to the bank, which is actually really nice and convenient. Yeah, chatted to a couple of the other anglers who I've seen. There was one other chap fishing earlier on, had a chat with him, and a couple of the other guys have had a walk around and had a chat with us, and apparently it has been fishing quite moody over the last week or so, which is a shame actually, because from what they've said to us, it's normally a really prolific water, really a runs water normally, but for whatever reason, maybe the changeable weather this week, they've been a little bit harder to catch, but I'm still hopeful that we can put a bigger carp on the map for you guys. One other thing, this lake holds some catfish up to 43 pounds, so there's always a chance of a great big cat as well. Anyway, I've waffled on for long enough. I probably need to start getting things packed down, ready to head back to the cottage. When I get there, I'll show you around so that you've got an idea about where we're staying. Really cool to be having a little fishing holiday. Here we are then, guys. This is us, Pound Cottage. It's just gone 9:30, so it's actually a lot darker than it looks in this video. We're going to head in. I'll show you the place, and we'll have a quick drink before bed, I think, and then back down the lake early. So, guys, here we are in Pound Cottage. There's the kitchen area, which has got a fridge, a cooker, a washing machine. I don't think we'll need that. And then round here, we've got the living room type area. It's got its own TV. Again, probably won't be using that too much. And then there's 2 bedrooms. This is me. Nice, perfectly adequate, and a lot more comfy than a bed chair, I reckon. And here's James. Or James's room, at least. Yeah. Brilliant, just the job. Obviously, by staying in here and not down at the lake on a bed chair, we aren't going to be getting any fish throughout the night, which is it's a shame. Yeah, I do like fishing through the night, but one thing I always do struggle with is I don't sleep well. And in fact, sometimes I don't sleep at all. Whereas here, I think I'm at least going to get a decent night's sleep and then be fresh and ready for another day of fishing tomorrow. And here is the bathroom. There's a bath and there's a stand-up shower as well. And talk about luxury for a fishing session, eh? I think what I'm going to do is hit the shower, get my pyjamas on, and have a drink, chill out and relax, and then probably think about turning in for the evening. But yeah, nice digs. Good morning and welcome to day 2 at Rendells Farm. We've come back to the same swims we were in yesterday, have had a look around the lake, and again, unfortunately not seeing any real signs of activity, but it doesn't mean they're not there. It doesn't mean they won't feed. So yeah, I'm going to get things set up here again and start fishing. So you can see that that nice sort of reed-lined margin across on the far bank there. I was fishing to that yesterday, but then actually saw more activity in roughly the middle part of the lake here. Well, I say more activity, I saw like 1 fish roll, but that was enough for me to change things up after having caught nothing for a few hours. And that did get me that bite. I know it was only a tiny fish, but hey, if you can catch a tiny one, then there's every chance you can catch a big one as well. So I think I'm probably going to start off doing the same thing, fishing those 2 baits to sort of the middle part, pop out a little bed of bait on top as well, and see if any of the bigger carp pay me a visit. Wouldn't that be great? Or maybe even one of these monster catfish. I wouldn't turn it down. I'll tell you what I'll do in just a sec. I'll take a lap of the lake, have a walk around with you, so you can see where I'm fishing at the moment. But yeah, had a good night's sleep last night. Had a few beers, so I feel a little bit worse for wear this morning, to be honest. But yeah, had a good kip and feel woken up and definitely have had a good rest. And we had bacon and sausage baps this morning. James chefed for us, a nice cup of coffee, got a few bits and pieces together, and then drove the 45 seconds from the cottage down to the swim. So yeah, can't grumble. As I say, I'll take you for a walk around the lake in just a sec. Okay, quick tour of the lake then, guys. There's my car, there's my swim. You can see, hopefully you can see if this is coming out on the camera, see my brolly there set up next to this rather nice and social bench, which is great. And yeah, let's just have a walk around. It's not a big lake, as I say, it's really quite small actually. It's almost surprising that it holds fish that are apparently to the size that they say. Seen one or two recent posts on Facebook with fish up to £19 coming out, so hey, if I caught one of those I'd be pretty happy. But you can see you've got this sort of like bay at one part of the lake here, and we're calling this Catfish Corner because we've seen we have seen yesterday a big swirl and sort of a scattering of small silverfish, so we thought maybe that was a catfish disturbing the area. But let's carry on round. Hope my GoPro on my head is angled correctly. It's one of the things you never really know when it's on your head. You just hope that what you're looking at is coming out. But yeah, moving around the lake here. Catfish Corner on my left there. James is super keen and is already setting up. It's just coming up to 7 AM. We both got up bright and early because we want to get down here. You can see there's an island in the middle over here, which James is fishing to actually, which has got the really cool gorilla statue on, which I love. And there's a little bridge there to the island, but that's just for the owners so that they can do maintenance and that kind of thing. So you haven't got any problems with people setting up there. So you can see what I mean about it being a small lake. Here's swim number one, actually, funnily enough. And from here, if I wanted to, I could really mess up the chances of myself and James by casting right over the top of them. So, but that said, everyone here seems really respectful and friendly, and we haven't had any sort of indication that that could or would happen. So far so good. And actually at this very moment in time, we've got the whole lake to ourselves. So just coming round, this is perhaps a slightly wider part of the lake. And you've got obviously the other face of the island to have a go at. James and I kind of avoided this initially on the basis that we sort of guessed that everyone fishes this side. That might not be a bad thing, but we just wanted to get out of the main walkways, I suppose, and the main swims for any other anglers. Be a really good spot for you know, less abled anglers or anglers that have mobility issues, because you could literally park right next to your swim here and be fishing, which is really nice. So just coming around some of the trees, and you can see the swims are reasonably spaced apart. Here's swim number 5. I do like the look of that one, I must say, actually. There's a boat there just in case anyone loses some tackle or a fish gets tethered or something like that. The owners use that. A couple of nice social swims here, and this is where we sort of very first dropped a bucket and thought about setting up. But yeah, something just told us to keep on walking round to the swims that we've actually ended up in. But yeah, that is a nice spot there, a nice cast to the island. Loads of ducks, you can see loads of bird life here, but actually they weren't diving on the boilies yesterday, and so that's great. They're not causing me any major problem. They're very friendly. They come up onto the bank and waddle around your rods, giving me a few false bite indications, but other than that, not really caused me any problems. Got a nice reed bed here down this end of the lake, which for some reason, and I don't know because I'm no expert, but for me kind of screams catfish. So yeah, we're gonna start off where we are and where we were. As we've been walking around, I've not seen any signs of fish, although I am walking around pretty fast, to be fair. We're going to start off where we were, and then we said, you know, if by midday it's not looking like it's going to be very productive again, we will lift up our stuff, pop it in the cars and move around to a different swim, and that's really easy to do. So yeah, not bothered about having to move if we do decide to at all. And here we are coming back round to the side of the lake where we are fishing, and you can see we're around the other side of the island. It's a little bit narrower here, a little bit less water to go at, but as I say, we liked the sort of tucked away nature of it. And what an absolutely lovely morning. The sun is shining. I know it's not going to last. It's due to turn to rain at some point later this afternoon, but for now, absolutely lovely. And here we are, back to where we started. I'm sure James has nearly got a rod in the water, and I am going to need to follow suit. Catch you in a bit. Welcome to my new swim for this morning, guys. I'm now fishing one just off the corner of the island there, and one outside to the left hand side, so on the opposite end of the island than I was before. Reason being is I didn't have a single twitch or indication of fish in the area at all, and James has had 3 carp already. Nothing massive, although actually the biggest one was £10, so you know, fair play, a double figure fish. That's awesome. I'd be absolutely over the moon with that at the moment. I'm scratching for a bite, so I figured his fish came near the island, or certainly nearer the island than I was, and I couldn't really access the island from where I was. So I decided to move. I mean, I'm probably only little bleep on my left hand rod. They're probably only 100 yards from James, maybe not even that. But it just gives me access to the island, which I'm sort of hoping the fish are using as a bit of a roundabout and just sort of circling around. So we'll see. I have seen a fish jump, unfortunately not where I've positioned my rods, off to my left hand side, so I could always reposition one if that fish, or if any fish shows itself there again. But for now, I'm feeling a little bit more confident in my new swim. It feels a little bit fresher, and a little bit more like there's a chance of a bite anyway. Let's hope so. I'm really lagging behind at the moment. Not that it is a competition, of course, but I'm really pleased for James that he's caught those fish. That's absolutely awesome, and hopefully I'll be able to put some pictures in here so that you can see them. Yeah, would be nice to catch one for myself, because I've only had that little one so far yesterday evening. So yeah, a nice big carp would really brighten my day. Right guys, James is absolutely schooling me in the art of fishing. This is his 4th fish this morning, 16.5 pounds of cracking, muscular, ghosty mirror. He's done really well. Now the fish doesn't look 16.5 pounds in James's hands, that's because James is massive, but the fish is 16.5 pounds. Absolutely cracking fish, really lovely. Well done, James. And now I'm going to go back to my new swim and completely copy exactly what James has been doing. Well done, mate. Well guys, I've been chasing the fish around the lake all day with nothing to show for it, until finally this afternoon, after a brief pit stop at the pub, I've come back, stuck to what I know and love, and it's produced this 10.5 pound mirror carp. Really long, lean fish. I reckon it's probably quite a lot heavier at different times of the year. Absolutely brilliant. Put up a really good scrap too.
I was really starting to panic a bit after James had so much success this morning and I didn't. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, and you start second guessing yourself. But sticking to my snowman rig has produced this one. Absolutely brilliant. So glad I've come to Wiltshire. Cracking fish. Let's slip this one back. Well guys, no sooner had I recast that rod and it was away again with this 13-pound, beautiful looking common. It's got colours of blue and green in its scales. Obviously a bit of a coy ghosty type fish, but a cracking fish to catch all the same. I'm absolutely buzzing now. I've gone from the pits of despair to the heights of joy. Absolute beauty. Let me show you the other side of her. Actually, probably the nicer side. Got all her scales on. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Let me slip this one back, get those rods back on the spot. Absolute magic.
All right, well, I just thought I'd catch up with you after slipping back that second fish of today. So that's 3 fish for the session, if you like. Although it is lots of small sessions, I'll call the whole weekend one session. So that's 3 fish in the bag. 1 was very small, 2 were pretty darn decent. A couple of double-figure carp. I'll be happy with that any day of the week, no matter where I'm fishing, to be honest. So, yeah, super, super chuffed. Really, really made up. Honestly, I was feeling in the pits of despair earlier, as I said, when I was holding that fish up. But James and I were just chatting about it. Had a bit of a theory about what might have happened. So last night I was in this swim and I was catapulting out my CC Moore live system boilies, and I did catch that 1 fish, but there wasn't a lot of activity. And then this morning when James started catching, I lost my mind and moved down the other side of the lake, fished, then moved again. I didn't show that bit on camera, but I did move a second time because I saw a fish jump. And I was just chasing my tail, really, and it didn't happen. And James quite rightly said, "You know what, mate? Let's regroup. Let's reel in. Let's go to the pub, have a pint and a bite to eat, come back, and just start afresh, back in the swims where we started, because you know what you do can work." Yeah, he really gave me a decent pep talk, actually. So after buying me lunch and then us walking back to the lake, I came back to the swim that I started in yesterday and where I started my day this morning. Clipped up to the middle of the pond in front of me, really, wanged out a few pouchfuls of boilies and just cast the same rigs that I use all the time, the snowman rig with the little mesh PVA bag pulled down over the hook, out to the middle there. Sure enough, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, yeah, probably 30 minutes after being in the water, the right-hand rod ripped off, and I was rewarded with that lovely, what was it, 10.5 pounder. And then got the fish sorted, got the fish put back, came back, cast that rod, same rod, back out, obviously fresh rig and everything, fresh bait. And I was literally putting the rod down in the rest, and off it went. It literally, in my hand, pulled the line out of my hand. I thought, oh, hello, fish on. And it turned out to be that lovely 13-pounder, really, really strange looking fish. That I don't know if it came out in the film, but it had really sort of like bluey, greeny coloration across its back, which is something I've never seen before. But yeah, it's obviously some kind of koi variant, I guess. But yeah, awesome to catch that one. So yeah, feeling really chuffed now. So what we think is, by me disappearing this morning and effectively resting the swim and then going for a bite to eat and resting the swim, the fish probably felt comfortable to move in here, start munching my CC Moore, what are they again, live system. I'm not selling them, by the way. My live system boilies, started munching on them, got a bit confident eating them, so that when I did come and cast out, there was that confidence. They honed in on the bait and took it straight away. It's just a theory, but that's what we're thinking maybe happened. So resting a swim, something I've never done before, but just had the opportunity here because of the unique situation that I'm in. And I didn't do it deliberately, but it has worked out, and a couple of fish to show for it. And just to back that up, both fish were passing boilie. I couldn't say for definite that it was the live system boilie. I wasn't going to taste it, but they were passing an awful lot of it on the unhooking mat. I'm using James's got one of these unhooking sling things. I'm using that for convenience rather than getting mine out of the car as well. So yeah, a little bit of theory time for you. That's what we think was going on. I'll show you in a sec the rigs that I'm using. just if you're interested. But if you've watched my channel before, it's the same thing that I do all the time. It's the old snowman rig, you know. Sort of probably shouldn't have put all my eggs in one basket like that. I literally haven't bought anything else. So I tie up my rigs in advance. Literally can't do it on the bank. I'm all fingers and thumbs. And I just tied up a load of snowman rigs. I didn't even think about bringing a pop-up rig or anything like that. So that was a little bit amateur. But hey, it's worked anyway. I've got some fish, so really chuffed. I'll show you more about where I'm fishing and what I'm doing in just a bit. Guys, for those that are interested, there's the rig that has caught me the few fish that I have caught. It's some Corda end trap semi-stiff, about 8 inches. I've got a figure 8 loop knot here and an anti-tangle sleeve. The braid, the coating is stripped away from the braid about 1 centimetre or so before the hook. And then I've got a knotless knot, quite a long hair. Oh! I nearly went running after my rod then. I had a little liner. Fairly long hair, which accommodates for me on this session a live system hard hook bait topped with a manila white 10mm pop-up. And that's the rig. For those who are interested in rigs and that kind of thing, I'm sure plenty of other rigs work on here. There's an older chap opposite me who's float fishing and he's caught way more fish than I have, so you know, if it works, it works. Ooh, that was another liner, I think. And what I'm doing is threading down one of these mesh bags down the hook link and masking the hook with it, and of course that dissolves away, but it stops the hair from wrapping around the hook on the cast. So yeah, that's what's been doing the business so far. let's see this 13-pound common. That's it, just hold it up a little bit for me. Ah, yeah, that's cracking. What a fish.
Well guys, it's now 7:30 and they come like butters. I've caught two at once, one on each rod. I had this one just in the net when the other rod busted off with a slightly bigger fish. This little scrappy common put up one hell of a battle. In fact, it went all the way across James's swim and totally tangled up one of his lines, so I owe him an apology because I obviously didn't put enough pressure on the fish. It felt much bigger. It really put up a fight, and I thought this is a big one. But no, just a little, maybe 4-pound common carp, but brilliant to catch one all the same. That's fish number 3 of today's session. Fish number 4 is in the net. I'll show you in just a sec. Absolutely brilliant. I'll slip this one back. Right then guys, I've just moved the camera because with that sunlight behind me, I noticed the pictures came out very dark, but this is the second fish from that brace. And this one, as you can see, much chunkier. This is a 9-pound common carp. Beautiful colours, like really golden, and a smashing fish to catch in the evening. Really chuffed with that one. Lovely, really muscular fish. You can really feel the weight of it there. Or you can feel the muscle, I should say. Really powerful fish, put up a very decent account for itself considering it's only 9 pounds. You would have thought it was 15 the way it went. But yeah, there she is. Keeps trying to twist, but hopefully we get a decent shot. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to slip this one back and get those rigs back on the spot. Brilliant. Well guys, we're getting on towards the end of Saturday now. It's just 9:20 and this is probably the last fish that I'm going to have today. It's 8.5 pounds. It put up a ridiculous fight. I thought it was way bigger, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was my right hand rod. I just had a feeling it was going to go, and it did. So this is fish number 5 of today's session, and I'm absolutely over the moon. Slip this one back and start getting ready to pack up, go back to the cottage, and we've got a nice pizza to cook. Absolutely magic.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to our third and final day on Rendells Farm. It's been brilliant so far. Had a really decent night's kip back at the cottage, but back first thing this morning. I say first thing, it's 10 to 7 now, so could have been earlier actually because the sun was up quite a while ago, but yeah, needed to have a little bit more sleep. So yeah, 10 to 7 and I'm here, and the rods aren't fishing yet. I need to do a little bit of setup first. I thought I'd show you just a little bit of that for anyone who hasn't watched before, who might be interested, and then get these rods cast out. James was up really early, like 5:30, and came down, and he's already caught a fish of 9.5 pounds, a common carp, lovely sort of really sort of dark coloured commons, which was excellent. So I need to do some catching up, so I'm going to start getting these rods ready, and I'll show you that I'm using to fish with. This rod needed some sorting out because last night, the very last fish that I caught, which was just after the last one I showed you, I think it was a really scrappy little common, but was only really small. In the fight, the lead discharged and dropped, which is what you kind of expect it to, what it's meant to do with a lead clip system. So that's what I'm using here. It's a Corda hybrid lead clip with 2.5 ounce pair lead on. I've got the tail rubber there, not pushed on too far, and I moisten it first as well. And then I've got about 15 inches of, maybe a little bit more, of quarter dark matter heavy tubing. And then obviously this is all just connected to my main line straight through, which is 15-pound quarter carp line. In terms of rods and reels, if you're interested in that kind of thing, this is a 10-foot TF gear 2 3/4 pound Banshee carp rod, which I've had for quite a while. I've had a set of 3 for quite a while, and I've no complaints with them really, no intention of necessarily changing them. Definitely not the best rod in the world, real budget stuff, but yeah, it's landed me plenty of fish. I'm really happy with that. And here we've got the Cyprinus, what is it called? Free Runner. Yeah, Cyprinus Free Runner 65S. So it's got a bait runner setting on it, and holds plenty of line, and I found them really good. I think I've mentioned their customer service being really good before, but I recently had really good customer service with a part on my bivvy that went wrong. They replaced it, no quibble, no qualms, and apologised for the inconvenience. And I did have one of these reels that that went a bit wrong as well, and they just replaced it and didn't give me any hard time about it at all, because I hadn't had it that long. So yeah, I found their customer service to be really good, and I don't think those couple of things that went wrong, could be necessarily avoided. I think you'd get the same thing buying from any of the big brands. Every now and then something's going to go wrong, but if they're willing to put it right without any fuss, then that's worth its weight in gold, isn't it? So that's the setup. You've seen where I'm fishing, just out here, and this is kind of a little bay area off the well, I suppose as you look at it, off the left hand side of the lake, not particularly near the island. James next to me is a bit closer to the island, but I've just been fishing straight out in front of me, not too far. I figured I could cast across to that reed line there, which I have done, but then as it's got a little bit busier over the weekend, I just didn't want to, if there was somebody who set up there in that swim, I didn't want to be casting right into them, sort of thing. So I'm just fishing literally halfway across this little channel here, and yeah, did me a few fish yesterday. Hope it does me a bigger one today. Wouldn't that be brilliant? But yeah, having a great time here, really enjoying it, and I think I'll most definitely be back. But let's get started, let's get fishing.
Well guys, here we are on the morning of day 3, just coming up to 9 AM, and my right hand rod just absolutely melted off, and I was starting to think it was mainly commons in here, but then it turned out to be this lovely, just over 9 pound mirror, a really lovely coloured fish, really beautiful. It's got a really cool little orange spot on this flank that I'm looking at now. I'll show you that, which makes it probably quite identifiable for the future, but that's a cracking fish. I really do love a mirror. That's made my day. I'm going to slip this one back, get that rod back on the dance floor. Absolutely superb. What a place. What a fishing holiday. Loving it. Well guys, like buses, I caught this one not 10 minutes after slipping back that last one. Another really lovely mirror carp. Nice to get amongst the mirrors today. Beautiful fish, lovely scale pattern. A little bit smaller than the last one, just over 8 pounds this one. But still a decent fish, and I'm really pleased with it. Lovely, lovely morning to catch him. We've had some heavy rain, really heavy rain. That seems to have passed now. And we're fishing again. Absolutely brilliant. Let's slip this one back, get fishing again. Awesome.
Not only has he had that 16.5 pounder that he had yesterday, he's just caught a 20 pound mirror carp. It was a beauty and put up one heck of a fight. Wiped both his rods, his pod, broke his reel, but an absolutely cracking big lump of a fish. Well done, mate, brilliant work.
Well guys, after those first 2 fish had gone back into the lake. Everything went a bit quiet for a while, but it's now 11 o'clock, and at 11 I've caught this 11-pound unbelievable looking mirror carp. Really orange coloured fish this, obviously some koi variant there, almost pinky in colour, incredible, and it fought like an absolute demon. Brilliant fish to catch. To show the other side of her, that has already made my day, and I've still got plenty of fishing to go.
Well, here we are, day 3 now, just coming up to midday. I've caught my 10th carp of the whole weekend, which was that lovely, I said 12 pounds in the video. No, sorry, I said 11 pounds in the video. It actually was 12 pounds, just over, in fact. So yeah, I got that a bit wrong. But yeah, that lovely orangey coloured mirror was carp number 10 of the session. A bit earlier on, I had a bite and lifted into a fish and played it for a little while, you know, maybe 30 seconds or so, and then it just came off, and I thought, well, it's just it's barbless hook rule here, so I thought maybe it just shaking the hook loose, but reeled in half a rig. So my my coated braid had just severed, and James said that could have been a pike or something like that, and I thought, I don't know, you know, could be, I suppose. Anyway, I just had another take on my left hand rod, and hooked into something that felt just a bit strange on the fight, and lo and behold, it turned out to be a pretty decent pike, actually. Probably I don't know, maybe 8-9 pounds of pikiness. So yeah, it was a vicious looking thing, and I know that you're not meant to have them out of the water for very long, especially when it's warm. So all I did was just took a very quick photo that I can put on here, but then slipped the fish back in the net, back into the lake, and it swam off strongly, which is great. But the interesting thing was, in its mouth was not only my rig, but half of a rig from earlier that I'd been using. So it was obviously the same fish. So I got it in the end, and yeah, just an interesting story. So that was actually fish number 11 of the weekend. Not the intended species. You don't expect to catch one of them on a snowman rig, but there we go. Another fish is on the bank. That's all good for me. I'm going to just probably rest the swim for maybe a little bit now, get a bit of lunch, and then ping them back out there, cast out some boilies, reset things, and see if I can't catch one of the bigger carp, because my biggest so far was a 13-pounder from yesterday. I'd really love to beat that, so fingers crossed, I'll keep trying.
Well guys, the sun is high in the sky. It's been a pretty hot afternoon, and as you can expect, the fishing's been pretty slow. So it's now just gone 4 p.m. and my right hand rod rattled off. I was lucky enough to connect to this common. Not a big fish, I think probably only 6 pounds, maybe 7, but it's a carp, another one on the tally sheet. I'm really happy to have caught it. Slip it back, reset the rods, try again. Maybe I can get one of those bigger ones.
Well guys, I'm coming to the end of my final day and evening on this magical lake at Rendells Farm. It's been a brilliant trip. I've actually landed 13 fish, including one pike, over the course of the sort of 2.5 days of fishing that I've had. And for me, that's a real result. I really wish I'd got amongst some of the really bigger ones like James did, but he's played a blinder and had a really good session. Fish number 14 almost was. My left-hand rod, just, what time is it now? It's 20 past 8 now. It was about an hour ago. My left-hand rod just melted off. In fact, it nearly got pulled off of the rest. It was such a savage take. I picked up the rod and connected to something that felt really heavy, heavier than anything else I've played yet. And there was a huge swirl out on the lake. And James, who was right next to me, said, "That's a big one." and I played the fish for what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, something like that, and then the hook pulled and I reeled in with no fish to show for it. So I felt really wounded by that. James was already just starting to pack his stuff up because he's nipped out to get us a lovely takeaway for our final evening in the cottage. I think we're going for a curry. Or sorry, going to have a curry, I should say. And I have stayed here and carried on fishing because I really wanted to try and have another shot at that fish that got away and maybe catch one more carp, just to see me on my way. I don't think I've got long left, to be honest. He's going to call me when he's on his way back in the car. So I'm just keeping those fingers crossed that it might happen. But if it doesn't, you know what? I've had a really great session. Brilliant 2.5 days of fishing in a really nice setting with really nice accommodation for the nights as well. And it's just been absolutely magic, to be honest. Great stuff. What did I say? 13 fish up to £13, the biggest one. That sort of lovely, really light coloured common that I caught of just over £13 was the biggest of them. Smallest of them was probably only £2, so a real range. I have caught a couple that I didn't actually sort of like video and hold up for you guys, sort of smaller commons that I just either took a quick photo of, or actually one of them I didn't even take a photo of, just sort of unhooked and slipped back. But yeah, it's been a great session. Enjoyed it immensely, and I'll reconvene with you guys. If I don't reconvene with you with a fish, that is, I'll reconvene with you in the cottage, and I guess we'll do a little bit of a debrief. Maybe see if we can get James to talk a little bit about the type of fishing that he's done, because he's been using particles. So he bought a big sort of like 5 kilo bag of mixed particles and pulses and stuff like that. Was it chickpeas and maize and all mixed together? And he's just been like wanging out a scoop of that over his rigs, fished really not that far out at all, and he's really done well. He's had, I think, 14 or 15 fish, but the average size of those fish has been much bigger than mine. He's had that 16.5 pounder yesterday and a 20 pounder today. I mean, wow, I would have been absolutely buzzing. I know he's absolutely buzzing about that too. So yeah, I'm happy for him. So yeah, it's been good. Right, I'm waffling. I'll see you back at the cottage if I don't see you with a nice big carp before. Well, guys, James hasn't called yet, and fish number 14 is in the landing net, thrashing around like a loony. Yes, it's not a monster, but it's a final carp to show you. So I'll get it all sorted and hold it up and show you what's gonna be the final fish of my session. But so good to have one more.
Right then, guys, final fish of this magical session at Rendells Farm. I'd love to tell you it was a double figure fish, but it was just under £10, just by a couple of ounces. So not quite £10, but a really chunky, quite deep bodied common carp. And it's a proper common too, proper colours. I'm absolutely made up with it. What a great way to end this 2.5 days of fishing here at Rendells. I'll slip this one back, pack all the stuff up, get back to the cottage. Absolutely made up. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the cottage on our final day. James in the background there, just making himself his final cup of coffee to take on the journey home. I was planning to do a little piece to camera yesterday evening, but truth be told, James had bought us a lovely curry. We tucked into the curry, had another few beers, and just couldn't be bothered to switch the camera on. So we crashed out last night, and then I thought we'd get up this morning. It's only 8:30. We've got to be out by 10, and we're pretty much all ready to rock and roll. It's been an absolutely great stay at Rendells Farm, and special thanks to Kerry and Dale, if you happen to see this, for hosting us. We've had a great time, haven't we? So yeah, it's been really good. I'm just gonna write in the visitors book there what a great time we've had.
And then what we thought we'd do is just have a little wander around the lakes one more time, and maybe a little bit of chat about what we did. But what we didn't show you, or haven't shown you at all yet, is there was a second lake, the lower lake, which apparently has an overall stock of slightly smaller fish, although does have a, what was it, 60-pound catfish in apparently?
60-pound catfish and carp up to 17 pounds.
So yeah, I mean, perhaps if we'd been here longer, I think we definitely would have.
Yeah.
We definitely would have gone down there, wouldn't we? Funnily enough, actually something I didn't even mention yesterday. I don't know why, because it was quite big news, is a 46-pound catfish came out on the lake that James and I were fishing. We'll show you the swim that came from, and tell you about the tactics that the guy used, because we had a good chat with him afterwards. Unfortunately, I couldn't get down there to get a photograph or a little bit of video for you guys, because my rods are in the water and I really didn't want to leave and wanted to maximise my chances. So he was right on the other side of the lake. But yeah, we'll show that on the walk around. And we'll join you again outside. Right, just saying goodbye to Pound Cottage now. It's been great. We're going to now just take you down the lane to the lakes. It's really actually quite close, but we were able to drive our gear down to the swims, which was even easier than pushing a barrow, which is great. So I'll just hold that there. James is just going to show us where the catfish came out from. Which one was it, mate?
This one here.
Right by the bench?
Yeah. No, the one next to it.
Oh, this one, this little narrow one here.
Yeah.
We looked at this one when we first arrived, didn't we? And thought about dropping into these two.
And apparently, a baby bell is the bait of choice for the cat.
Yeah. So the guy was fishing with a mini baby bell and just casting out there. I don't know if he was casting right across to the island or...
No, it was down by the boat, down here.
Oh, just down by, you can see there's a boat there. Just down here where he caught that great big whopper from. Fair play. Here's all the ducks. There's loads of them. That's the island. Should we walk round?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Cool. So James and I were chatting to sort of like look at the different sort of tactics that we used. In the end, just to give you the final tally, we both caught 14 fish over the course of the sort of 2.5 days fishing. Now granted, one of those fish for me was a pike, but that's 28 fish between us. James definitely got the bigger average weight of fish. A lot more bigger. You had 5 over 10 pounds?
6 over 10 pounds.
6 over 10 pounds.
Biggest was 20, 16.5. Regular short casting off the end of the rods with little handfuls of maize going in sort of every 5-10 minutes, and they seem to go crazy for it.
That was funny, wasn't it? Because James bought some particles. I think I mentioned this yesterday actually, just as I was closing out. But yeah, we never really use particles, do we? But you bought a bag and just tried it, just thought, well, why not try it? And your fortune just really changed at that point, didn't it? You just started getting really regular action.
Yeah, it just whipped up a frenzy, and every fish I was landing, there was loads of maize and particles in the net as well, so they were obviously munching on them and having a real good time.
And I mean, I don't know if that's what was attracting the larger fish. I mean, sometimes I guess if you get a bite, you get a bite, and if it's a big one, that's just lucky or not lucky, I don't know. Or maybe there was something in it. Maybe the bigger fish were attracted to those smaller particles, I don't know. I was doing an out and out boilie approach and really doing for most of the session, doing my usual bait and wait tactic where I cast out, a few pouchfuls of boilies, and then just wait for the action to happen. But watching James, you did things far more regularly, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you were finding that recasting was actually bringing on the bites.
Yeah, trickling in the boilies, or even just the sound of the lead going in seems to get them interested. So yeah, just keeping it regular, and
yeah,
the number of almost instant takes or takes within 5 minutes were really high.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because it's not like that on every lake. Like if you tried that on one of our other lakes, it just wouldn't work. Like if you consider the Quiet Lake, for example, You know, regular recasting there just wouldn't do it. The fish are totally spooked by the sound of the lead in that lake and a couple of our other lakes actually. Whereas here, they weren't spooked by it at all. They seemed to swim towards it in James's case. So yeah, I started sort of a bit of more regular recasting after watching what James was doing, and sort of regular small amounts of bait just trickling in. And I think that did stimulate more bites. So yeah, you sort of get to learn a place as you go on, don't you?
Yeah, and work the whole area.
This was your swim, wasn't it?
The reeds at the back, the end of the island, and as I say, the majority just in front of me. So just a lot of people would cast all the way to the far side, but under your rod tips.
Yeah, I mean, just to show you, the majority of James's fish came from like there. And yeah, literally just dropping it well, little underarm flick to get it out there. Yeah. So no real mega casting or mega accurate casting required. Just put it down there, nice old scoop full of particle over the top, and that's what got you your 20, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, lovely fish. There's our, I've showed him a couple of times, but I just think it's a really cool gorilla statue there. A couple of guys set up there on the opposite bank. They had a nice fish yesterday evening, just as I was closing out. Had a real screaming run, and it ended up being a 14-pounder, I think. One of those sort of ghosty coloured mirror carp, I think. Yeah, really lovely little lake this. And look at this, you can actually get onto the island here. That'd be quite interesting, fishing off of the island.
Lovely little coves and little nooks to fish, aren't
yeah,
there?
like little canal bits and stuff, yeah.
20 swims on each lake apparently.
And we're not that far from an actual canal, are we? What is it, the
Kenneth and Avon.
Kenneth and Avon Canal, yeah, we're quite nearby. Well guys, I think we're coming up to a pretty heavy stand of trees here. This is kind of a no fishing bank, so probably a good place to cast to if you've got one of the well positioned swims. And that's the gate to get back out again up there. For now, I think I'm going to sign it off. James, thanks for a great holiday, mate. It's been brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you again really soon on the bank. Have a good one.